In tonight's video, I'm going to take you through the 3 biggest mistakes couples keep repeating. So if you feel like you're on this hamster wheel, not getting ahead, if you feel like, you're just in this cycle that keeps repeating, you're in the right place. I've identified 3 of the biggest mistakes from the couples I've worked with over the years. I'm going to break down what they are and, what they feel like, and more importantly, show you how to break out of them as well. So here's a quick overview for our training tonight. Let's jump straight into it. So who is this for? Well, this is for couples out there who make good money but can't or struggle to save. You're making more than you ever have but still struggle to save. Couples who are sick of, watching their money disappear, having no idea where it goes, sick of feeling like you're repeating the same things over and over again, like you're stuck on that hamster wheel, repeating that cycle of doing well for a little bit and then everything falls apart, and then doing that over and over. Or just couples who want the security of having a full savings account. You can sometimes save, but would love to actually keep the savings in the account, just having that feeling of safety that whatever happens, you're going to be okay. And you feel that looking after your money is hard, stressful, and emotionally taxing. It feels like you're pushing a big old boulder up a hill, even couples who wonder why their budget never matches real life. You're always having to transfer money out to pay for things, always robbing Peter to pay Paul. You want more time to do the things you love. And if you've been following me for a little while and wondering, what is it exactly that you do, Josh? Well, basically, I help couples save crazy amounts of money in a short space of time, but more about that later. So why is this important? Well, what is life going to look like if you do nothing? If you don't take action? It would be insane to expect your life is going to be any different than it is right now. So I want you to think about how much money you've managed to save in the last 6 months. I want you to think about the last 6 months. If nothing was to change, what do you think is going to happen over the next 6 months? Exactly the same. Spoiler alert, exactly the same. But the question is this something that you're willing to accept? Again, financial problems are only going to get bigger and worse with time. You can't expect life to change if you don't change. Like, that's insanity. Now, I understand that when it comes to money, you've probably been burnt before, or, things haven't, been working well for a while now. But every couple that I've worked with in my more than 10 years experience has left wishing they took action sooner. They understand how different life would be now if they had taken action earlier. And to be honest, I'm very protective of the work that I do. I want to ensure that I can actually help you, but fixing these things increases your chance of success in actually achieving your financial goals. And it increases the speed at which you're able to achieve your dreams. So that's why this is important. Now, for a quick story. Obviously, my name is Josh Redman. I'm an ex-financial planner with one of the major banks here in Australia, and I'm tired of the system being stacked against everyday people. And so with more than 10 years experience, I'm here because I help couples save crazy amounts of money in a short space of time and grow serious personal wealth. I love helping them get the power of their money back in their hands. One question I do get a lot is that why am I an ex-financial planner instead of a current one? And it's a good question. But I actually got my start back in the property investment space. And I moved from that space because I wanted to be able to help and not be limited to just one asset class, property. I wanted to be a little bit more holistic in the help that I could give. Then I did the study and I started working as a financial planner. And literally the first job out of study was with one of the major banks. And I noticed a bunch of people who came in to see me had more immediate money problems. Sure, I could, in that role, provide advice that would benefit them in 10 plus years, but they had problems now and they needed help. So I transitioned from that space to start helping couples, again, save large amounts of money in a short space of time, helping them grow serious personal wealth. But that's enough about me. Let's jump into the first financial mistake. First one is working alone. This is where one of you is handling the money. You're handling all of the emotional and mental labor associated with that. You feel unsupported. You're actually unintentionally undermining each other at every turn. You're finding it hard to say no to each other, which is an important thing to remember. And you say stuff to yourself like, well, there's no point both of us being stressed. That's why one of you lives with their head in the sand, completely unaware of how things are going, and they're happy to stay there. But you manage a life, a house, you might even be raising kids together. So why not money? When I met Matt and Katie, the cycle they were experiencing was that only ever was one of them really handling everything financially. Sure, Katie was the one looking after it when we first started working together, but historically they'd been in this pattern of handing it off to each other in moments of frustration, saying things like, if you think you can do a better job, then you do it. They were struggling to save, or unintentionally undermining each other's efforts at every turn, but had different things they were wanting. And Katie felt alone and completely stressed. Katie also found it hard to say no to Matt. So Matt would ask for something, meaning that she would have to come up with that money from somewhere, leaving Katie feeling like she is always having to plug holes, robbing Peter to pay Paul. That money that she was giving to Matt had to come from somewhere. Money was a point of tension. They weren't on the same page and had two very different ideas about what they wanted their financial future to look like. Matt had some big dreams, but Katie couldn't see how any of it was possible. She wasn't sure where the money was going to come from to make those dreams actually happen. So the first mistake is all about working alone. But let's jump into number 2, and that is having no purpose for your money, which leaves you in a space where you're making a little progress, but it's short-lived. That's the cycle. You kind of repeat that over and over again. You start saving, then it all falls apart. You're living in this space of being disappointed, frustrated, stressed, anxious about money, constantly making bad financial decisions because you've got no purpose, and you're wasting money on convenience and stupid things. When you have to pay for something, you pay it, but you can't seem to save because you don't respect your savings. You have nothing to work together towards. And you say things like, what's the point in even trying? And this is just the way life is now. Rob and Alicia came into my world because they constantly felt like their savings were being eaten away. Whenever they had savings in the bank, they would watch it slowly be eaten away bit by bit. Arguments or heated discussions, this is what they called them, were commonplace, living in this place of frustration and constant stress. And I see it all the time in the work that I do. Couples who are now earning more than they ever have, but are just as broke or even worse off when they first got married or got together, when they were earning so much less than what they are now. But when you don't have purpose for your money, you never respect your savings, and you end up pulling it out little bit by little bit and spending it. Your income level doesn't matter at all when it comes to being stuck in this cycle, but it definitely feels like this hamster wheel that you just can't get off. Essentially, it feels like you save here and there, and then you have to use it for something. So that was number 2, having no purpose for your money. Let's jump into number 3, which is avoidance. Avoidance is an attempt, obviously, to minimize or avoid a perceived anxiety or pain. And when it comes to money, sometimes it feels easier not to look. It comes from a place of fear and trying to avoid the pain of actually looking closely. But there's 3 main types of avoidance. Literally situational, which is where you literally stay away, where you don't actually look. And the only reason you might look is to see if there's enough money to pay for a purchase you're just about to make. There's cognitive, which is where you literally force yourself to think about something else, to think about other things unrelated to money. And there's substitution, where you find something to replace it. It sometimes actually involves buying more things that you don't need to replace it, so you're not thinking about it. When I first met Brenton and Janelle, they were living in avoidance. Neither of them really wanted to take a closer look, a deep look into what was happening. And they had all but accepted that this is the way life is now. They almost were running on autopilot. Sure, they were covering their bills, but they weren't saving anything. This might be something you can relate to, this concept of running on autopilot. But this mistake is easy to repeat because you simply just continue to avoid even looking at your bank account and where all of your money goes. And this is something that can happen when it comes to money. You just do what needs to be done and don't dare look any closer. So that's the 3 financial mistakes. But more importantly, one thing I want you to understand is, what is the real cost associated with these mistakes? So what is the real cost? the actual costs of these mistakes. If you don't deal with these things, you're leaving money on the table. Not fixing these things will cost you a tangible amount of money each and every week. For Matt and Katie, once they got everything fixed, they started saving $15,000 every 10 weeks, like on repeat. For Rob and Alicia, once they got this fixed, they were saving over $30,000 every 6 months. For Brenton and Janelle, once everything was working for them, they were saving $15,000 every 10 weeks. But it's not just about actual money in the bank. What could this potentially cost you? What else? Well, what about your relationship? How long can things be this tense for? How long are you willing to keep arguing about money? What about financial security? How long are you willing to live on the financial edge, stressed and anxious, wondering when things will fall apart? What about your own enjoyment or your joy or your peace of mind? Money in the bank gives you more options. Your confidence grows knowing that whatever happens, you'll be more than just okay. And what about your kids' future? Are things going to be different for your kids or more of the same? How are things going to be different if you don't deal with these problems? You need to understand that there is a real and tangible cost for not sorting out your finances. Also, it's important to realize your problems are going to get bigger and worse over time. Every single client I work with gets to the end of their journey with me, wishing they had done it years ago, because they understand life would be incredibly different now if they started this whole process earlier. But now that we understand the real cost associated with not getting these things fixed, it's time to fix it all. If you're ready to take that next step, to start your journey to fixing these things, I have only one thing I want you to do, and it's complete the Wealth Potential Calculator. I'll make sure the link is available here somewhere, but it's a great free tool that shows you what is possible. So even if you're slightly intrigued by this and wondering what life could possibly look like, just do it. It doesn't take long at all, and I'll get your results back to you as quickly as I can, normally no later than a day. But also, if you've already have your results, use the link on your results page to book in a call so we can talk about what this will all work or look like and work for you, and how you can take the next steps to dealing with these problems once and for all. But that's it for tonight, guys. I thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon.